Chris Petri here. Welcome everyone. Hey, I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna have such a fun time. We're doing this gorgeous seascape painting in ink and wash. Yes, ink and wash. I've done many ink and washes on my channel over the last 4 or 5 years, but recently I haven't probably done any ink and washes. So I'm going to get back into ink and washes, and I'm going to do them more frequently. And I know many of you are going to be out there and saying, "Oh, wow, you're doing ink and washes again. Thanks so much, Chris." And I know I'm going to see all those great comments out there coming into my comment section. And thanks so much. I really appreciate it. But I know many of you have loved ink and washes over the years that I've been on YouTube. And always when I do ink and washes, everyone gets excited, and they really... I'm sure you're going to have fun with this one. This is really great. So basically what we did here is we just did our simple procedure for ink and washes. And this one is a seascape style with some boat shacks over here on the right hand side. And so we're going to cover everything here that you need to do this gorgeous painting. Basically you're going to start out with a design. So we're going to explain to you the design we're going to use, the format of our design. Second, we're going to show you how to sketch this and get the sketch in with a pencil sketch. Third, we're going to show you how to do the ink and wash. We're going to cover that. We're going to cover how we use a bamboo pen, a simple ink style bamboo pen with some super black India ink from Speedball. Speedball makes this. You buy this, you have this for 10 years. It lasts you 10 years. So this is our ink, Speedball India ink, and that's what we do. Pencil sketch over top with our ink, and then we do a light, beautiful light wash of watercolor over the top of this with tons of water, tons of watercolor paint. We use a beautiful color scheme here using a lot of Viridian green, some warmer tones with some cadmium red, some raw sienna. We use that same color scheme throughout the whole painting. So we use very minimal colors. We don't use a lot of different color here, just about 4 or 5 colors. And we get this completed, and it's about an hour. In an hour you can have this all done. And we show you every step of the way. So stick right here. We'll start up in just a second, and I'll just zoom out a little more so you can kind of see more of the painting. So that's a little bit of the larger size there. So please work from this too. If you want to work I would say work from this if you can. You can draw and paint right from this if you can. Okay, hey everybody, again we're getting started here. We just saw the finished painting. I'm glad I can be here to paint along with everyone, and we're having a great time. We're going to use ink and wash again, as we just saw in the finished painting. Ink and wash is actually a really fun way to get some really powerful darks in your compositions, your paintings. So whether you're in your beginning stages of watercolor, or if you're an advanced student, using ink with a simple bamboo pen, or even using ink style pens, those type of tools really work great. They have a lot of impact in your drawings and paintings, in your compositions, and again your artwork. So I always encourage everybody, if you can, once in a while, get some ink and some or some pens, some ink pens. There's a lot of good stuff out there. There's a lot of great research you can do on YouTube about that. What type of pens, or I use just basically a simple bamboo pen. It's got a finer pen on one side here, and then a little bit of a larger point on this side. But basically it's very simple. I got this for like $4 online. And this is super black India ink. So I use India ink. It's super black by Speedball. Speedball is the manufacturer of this, and I've had this for like 5 or 6 years, and it's still half filled. So I use it occasionally, and this will probably last me another 5 or 10 years. So this is a great bargain. If you buy a container like this of Speedball black ink, super black India ink, this will last you almost forever. And then I just have a small container or a small, this is from a cough syrup. I had a cold, like last year I had a cold, so I saved my top of my cough syrup container jar, or my container, So I'm going to use that for my ink, and I'll just put a little bit of ink in there, squeeze it in there. It's got this nice little open this top like so, and then you can carefully put the ink in like so. And you only want to put in a little bit, not too much, maybe just like a quarter of an inch in the bottom of your container and your well, your ink well. This is like a set of cough medicine ink well. And that's pretty much how simple it is. And then you just use this, you dip this in, and we'll go over this. We'll kind of go through the whole process. So you get a little bit of this India ink, super black India ink by Speedball. You'll have this for 20 years if you're, painting all the time. This will last you forever. And again, you can buy these online too. You can buy these like maybe a set of 10 or 20 for like maybe a couple dollars, $2 or $3. So this is very inexpensive too. So if you're on a budget and you're looking to save a little bit of bucks, save a little bit of money, hey, you buy some ink, you buy a couple, you buy 10 or 15 of these, very inexpensive, maybe a couple dollars, and you buy this for $4 or $5, and you're in business. You have a beautiful ink setup where you can do some gorgeous ink drawings. And pen and ink and wash is a great way, again, to get real powerful darks into your watercolor compositions, and we're going to show you how to do that in just a second. So just wanted to get you up to speed on how we are going to start out here with our ink and our writing utensil. The utensil here. This is again a bamboo ink pen. And I'll probably just do some spritzing of my watercolor palette. We're going to clean off some of these other colors we had on from the other day. We'll do a little bit of that. So we'll sort of do our prep work now so we can relax and do our drawing and then get right into the painting. So I'm just getting up those old colors we had on there from our last painting. No sweat. We're having a good time with our watercolors. We're having fun. We're just enjoying the whole process. We're enjoying the lead up to our drawing and painting. We're just going to do a little prep work now. So we're going to take our palette, clean that up a little bit so that's all ready to go. And I left on some Chinese white and some lavender paint because we might use a little bit of that possibly. And we have our bamboo pen, our ink. We'll set this to the side right now. We're not going to use that at this point right now. So the first thing we'll do is, you come up with any composition you like. You can look up online any kind of landscape paintings, seascapes. You can look up watercolor paintings and then do your own spin on things. So the thing I mention is please work from my finished painting. So that's what I would like if you can really draw and paint from my finished painting. But if you want to kind of like go out on your own and do something different that you would like, that's fine too. You would just find a picture in a book, a picture online. Maybe you want to do something outdoors. You might want to go out and do a plein air sketch and then maybe bring it back to the studio and then work on it from that point. There's all the different ways you can work as an artist, so you figure out how you want to do this. I find if you have never done this before, like an ink and wash, then you should try it. Probably follow what I did. So you'll do my same process that I'm going to do here. But if you already have done this like an ink and wash before, then hey, you just go for it, have a good time, and then you're going to go out and do your own thing, and you're just maybe going to use this as sort of like an encouragement, a little bit of a boost to kind of get you excited about it again, doing maybe an ink and wash you haven't done in a while, and you're going to go out and do some ink and wash. And I've done ink and washes on my site on YouTube here, going back maybe 6 months or a year ago, and I usually always put ink and wash in the title of my videos, so you could probably look up Chris Petri ink and wash, and if you type that into YouTube, you'll probably find quite a few of my ink and washes that I've done. So I've done a lot, and they're always fun, and we're just going to do another one here. So let's get into the main portion of what we're going to do now. So we'll get our preliminary drawing in with a pencil, our normal pencil we always use. So just a number 7 or number 9, 0.09 or 0.07 pencil, or even an office pencil is fine. You can use an office pencil like this. This is fine too. You just sharpen it up and you're in business. And I'm going to get a thicker lead here. I'm going to do a number number 9. And I'm hoping you'll be able to see this. So what I'm going to do is start off with a sketch. And then what I'm going to do is, from a design perspective, let me just show you what I'm going to do. So I'll take a scrap piece of paper, and I'll just go over a quick idea of how I'm going to approach this. So now I'm going to look for my pen here. Let me see if I can find a pen. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to use a regular office pen, black office pen, just on this scrap piece of paper, just to kind of go over what we're going to do here. So we have a landscape or style painting. So that's where we're using the rectangle in a horizontal position like so. If you were doing a portrait style, you would just swing it like this, and that would be a portrait style painting. If you like a portrait, more of an upright vertical style painting, you can do a painting just like that, and you just put your subject matter in, you know, as you would want to lay it out according to the design you're going to do. So here now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a seascape with some gorgeous shore houses along the seascape here. So I'm going to take the concept of using sort of like this top quarter. So if we split this into quarters like so, I'm going to use this quarter of the sheet of paper as my main focal point area, where I'm going to have the main subject matter here, and then we're going to have some really beautiful foreground here that's going to lead our eye into this section over here. So what I'm going to, and then from here, so that's going to be the basic concept of it. You tend to really have a great time of your design in your watercolor paintings and drawings with thinking of design, which is the first thing you're going to think about, is how am I going to design this? So there's many design applications you can use for your painting and your drawing. This one happens to be sort of like dividing your paper into quarters. So you can put your main subject here, you can put it here, or over here, and then you leave the other spaces, so you'd only really make the main focal point where most of the subject matter is going to be in one of these quarters, and then the rest you leave kind of freer, looser, not as much information in them. So a lot of artists, you'll see if you look at art, you know, paintings, watercolor paintings, even, you know, of course, any type of painting, you know, could be oil paintings or acrylic paintings and so forth. Does this make sense? That there's a design usually in the beginning when an artist is going to start out. Like if you're a pro artist and you're thinking about your painting, you're always going to say, well, what's my design going to be, and where am I going to put my subject matter? How am I going to lay things out and make things look really appealing, that really look exciting? This is one of, and also photographers use this same principle of sort of setting things up inside the rectangle or inside the picture frame. If you're a photographer, you have your picture frame, your camera, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to maybe shoot some video here, or I'm going to do a picture, a photograph. How am I going to do it? Well, this is one of your design principles, is, you know, using 1/4 of the 4 quarters of a rectangle and putting, you know, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it right there, and then we're just going to put like a shack over here, a nice sea shack, you know. So we're going to have a little bit of that. I'll do it a little different than this, but I'm just kind of giving you a kind of a beginning idea. So there we'll have our shack, and then there's some pilings here, and like a dock going out this way, and some pilings, and there's going to be tons of water, and then maybe there's a few pilings over here, maybe some old pilings that are not too, you know, some shadows, and this is going to be some water here. So we're going to have a fun time with this. We're going to do this same idea right here on our rectangle, but I just wanted to show you the, you know, the basic beginnings of it. So you kind of see how I'm thinking, what I'm doing. Maybe over here there's a little bit of rocks and shoreline over here, like that. And that brings a little bit of interest, so your eye kind of goes over here, looks over here for a few, then it goes back over here, but this is the main focal point. Then maybe there's a distant shoreline over here. You'll look at that too as we go. And there's some little ripples in the water. It might be along the bay of this gorgeous seascape scene. And you know, maybe there's some grass and weeds over here a little bit, maybe some here, maybe some over here. So we kind of have our design all set up for us. And that's about it. That's really the basics of it. Okay, so now we're going to get started. But before we do, I just want to mention, hey, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. This way you're going to be coming along with us, and we're going to, week after week, month after month, and year after year here on YouTube, we're going to continue to do these great videos for you, and we'll all work together. You know, you can watch this video full through and then maybe come back another day when you have more time and work on it step by step, or maybe you're ready to jump in right now and do it and work with us step by step. That's great too. Or maybe you're not so happy and you don't really like seascapes too much. You like the mountains or flowers or something else. We do all of those other subject matter too. So we're always doing different subject matter here, but the main key to my channel here on YouTube is I'm always doing the same methods and procedures with watercolor. So I'm going to be showing you the same methods, procedures, techniques in watercolor as we go each week by week by week by week. So it doesn't matter what my subject matter is, a seascape, a landscape, a boat painting, flowers, figure painting, whatever it is, we're going to cover all the basics of how to use your brush, how to use your paints, your palette, what kind of brushes are you going to use. How are you going to approach this painting? Are you going to paint it alla prima? Are you going to paint it with the glazing technique, using light washes over one another, letting them dry each way? We cover all of this each week, and that's why I say if you subscribe, and the button is right down there below on the right-hand side, if you subscribe, you're not going to miss a thing, especially if you hit that bell, too. There's a little bell next to the subscribe button. That means you're going to be notified exactly when our video comes out. This way you'll definitely be able to at least watch it one time through, and then you come back a couple of days later when you have time and maybe work on little sections and whatever you can do. I mean, everyone's busy, and I realize all of you can't work, you know, you can't work on every aspect of a painting sometimes because you have, you know, you have a lot of things you have to do in life. You might not have a lot of time. I have more time. I can work for hours here on YouTube, but sometimes you might only be able to do maybe like a half an hour of what I'm doing. But even if you did a half an hour of what I'm doing and kind of got the general idea, you're going to be way better off. All right, so let's come right back. I just want to get you all excited and hope you're really juiced and really excited to start our painting here and our drawing. And I'll come right back and we'll start our pencil drawing. We'll get a light pencil drawing in first. We'll go over with the ink, and then last we'll put on our watercolor washes. So that's going to be the game plan. And this is probably going to be at least an hour video because it does take a while. You have to go step by step, and we'll cover everything here for you, all the steps, all the methods, and you're going to be happy because your watercolor is going to get so much better when you're trying new things. You might decide that you want to do a lot more ink and washes with your techniques and with your art. And that might be something that's really going to spur you on to get more creative and get more excited about watercolor. Sometimes people, you might come to a channel and, you know, you're not sure if there's going to be different things here. I'm showing you all different kinds of techniques, methods, ways to do water-based media. So anything that's mixed media, it's here. I'm doing ink and wash, watercolors, drawing, painting. And so you'll be happy. Stick with us here. You're going to have a lot of fun. And we'll be right back. All right. Hey, we're back and we're getting excited here. We're just about to start our pencil drawing. Once we get our pencil drawing in, our light pencil drawing, we'll go over with the ink and wash. So first thing I'm going to do is we did cover already. Just, you know, we were just going to go over this one more time quick. We want our subject matter to be following the design principle of really basically just using a basic crosshairs across our rectangle. It could be vertical or horizontal. We're going to use the horizontal format. And then we're just going to put our main subject matter up here in the right-hand corner. And you can put it anywhere in this painting. But in this painting, obviously, we're going to use this upper right-hand corner. And then the rest, we'll have fun and we'll do the rest. But this is going to be where we do most of our work, most of our focused drawing. And so I just wanted to go over that quick, just so we kind of mention that one more time. So then here, you know, this is a very loose painting. We're not going to get too, you could just basically go across here and say, where's the halfway point approximately? Here. So then we just lightly draw a very super light line. Like, you can barely see that. You don't need to see it. You just need to realize, here I go. I'm putting in a light pencil line there. And then how about halfway this way? About there. All it has to be is an approximate, not perfect. If you want to get perfect, you can do that too. You can take a ruler and measure it across, and this might be like a 14 by 8 inch. This is Arches rough paper. The orange cover on top of the, I took this off of a gummed pad. This is an Arches gummed pad paper. It's got the orange cover on it. So if we went across here and said, oh, what is this? This is a approximately, 14 by 10. So 14 by 10, that means you're going to go, 14 would be 7 inches, would be the center point here. And then 10 inches this way, 5 inches. So 5 inches is the center point here. Like that. And then you just do a quick line across both ways. And then we have our crosshairs, so to speak. Then we can start our drawing, and we're going to, again, subject matter is up here, so let's start out. Just a rough line here. I'm just going to do this real lightly. Matter of fact, I'm just going to do it lightly, and then we're going to go over it with the ink, so you'll see it when we do the ink. So I'm just going to try to get a basic. And then we have a little bit of shack over here. And this one's over here maybe. And there's another there, so I'm just kind of working out some Okay, now the most important thing right now we need to focus on is where's that light coming from, because I'm starting to hash in some shadows and things when I'm doing my sketch. So when you're doing your sketching, your drawing, your contour drawing, you want to just pencil in a little bit of shadowing as you're going. So if you're going to do that, you have to start out and say, well, where's my light coming from to start with? So our light's coming from this side, left hand side coming this way to the right. So we'll put our light insignia up on the top of our paper where my tape is. So I've taped around my paper just so we have that, so that we always know if we need to refer to where's the light coming from. Oh yeah, it's up here on the left. So is that making sense? Light's coming from this side. We make this insignia up here. You always want to do that. The first thing, one of the first things you do when you've got your design, what you're going to do, and then you say, okay, the next thing is you have to look at your subject matter, whether you're outside, outdoors, or you're looking at a photograph. Maybe it's a cloudy day. You might not have much shadowing, but here we're going to use kind of like a sunny, bright day. So we want our light here, the light source over here. So you can pick whether you want to use a cloudy day. You might not see much shadows at all. Or if you're using a bright sunlit day, you're going to have your shadows, and you need to have that little insignia just on the top of your paper, just to keep you kind of in line with, if you are drawing and doing some shadowing and trying to figure out where's the bright sunlight going to be, you want to, if you want to leave some white paper in here and you want to put a little W on your painting, the W for white paper, to leave white paper. Well, when you put that W on, you have to realize, well, if the light's coming from this direction, the white paper would be over here. It definitely wouldn't be on this side of the building that I'm drawing in here, because the light's coming from this direction this way. So just to kind of give a background of what I'm thinking here. So this is what I'm thinking as I'm going. Let me get in that light insignia so I know where my light's coming from, so I don't lose track as I go, especially when I start painting. And then another small shack up here. This is up in the background there. And so we're just doing some I'm going to do some chimneys here, some chimneys on these buildings. There's some okay, so we have our main structures in here, our small fishing shacks along the sea side here. Again, I'm going to put in some rocks over here on the shore just for some interesting effects and subject matter here. Okay, rocks there, and then there's going to be there's going to be a dock here. Let's put a dock, so we're going to have some pilings here, so we're just putting in some pilings along our dock, along this seaside scene here. We're doing some beautiful boat shacks and fisherman shacks here, and we're just doing some I'm just putting some marks on the paper. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, that's all it is just some verticals, lots of verticals here. You can see that. Lots of pilings here, those wood pilings for these docks. We've got some wood docks here, and maybe there's a few boats in here. So I'm going to put a few boats in here, one over here, and then maybe over here we'll put a boat like this here, and this will be another fishing boat there. Like that. A couple boats in here. Most of the boats are out right now. They're fishing out at sea. If you have an issue where you might see something, you say, oh, you know what? I made something like maybe this door over here is too large. No problem. You use a little kneaded eraser like that. And then you can make your correction there. So we just want to make a correction. That was the door was a little bit out of scale to what I was doing here. So you just have that. Since we're doing the pencil drawing first, no worries. You have that little bit of eraser. You erase up. You will erase your center lines here like so. So you'll see that I do that. I erase my crosshairs, and we're good. Now, we're in pretty good shape. We have our subject matter here, our shacks, a couple boats, lots of pilings. We have some rocks over here. That's going to be dark ink there, right? Then we're going to have our distant shoreline over here. Oh, look at that. That's going to be awesome. That distant shoreline that brings beautiful three-dimensional qualities into your paintings and your drawings when you're trying to layer in lots of layers of distance. So I have some distant shoreline and ocean and sea out here. And of course over here we're going to get more information in our foreground here. So maybe we'll go with maybe a little Maybe a little bit of shoreline here, like that. Okay. And there's some old pilings in here maybe, like so. And there's some weeds. We'll do most of this with our paintbrush and our ink and wash, but just so we have a little just like that, a little bit of interesting and I think that's going to be good. We're going to leave this a more simple ink and wash. We're not going to get bogged down with incredible amounts of details and too much information. Let's keep it simple. Some beautiful boathouses and sea shacks over here, top right hand section of the painting, and then these are the areas of restfulness. So this is a restful area of the painting, the bottom and this side. More peaceful, not as much information. This is your more exciting area up here. Okay, so we got our sketch done. This is the main point now. When you get your sketch in, you're really, that's your blueprint. You have it there, you have it down. You can make a little correction or two with your eraser here and there if you have to, just a little bit. Don't do too much correction. Again, things always look better once you get it painted. So once you get that completed, this section here, this portion with the pencil drawing, then you're all set. Then it's just a matter of having fun with the ink and the ink pen, the bamboo ink pen and the ink here, which we have all ready to go. So we're going to take another quick break here just so we can get a little bit of a rest. Does that make sense, to get a little bit of a rest? If you're just constantly going, you're going to wind up making some errors here and there. So don't try to think you're going to outsmart your painting, your drawing and your painting. You're never going to outsmart your drawing and your painting. So trust me, take some breaks as you go along. So each step of the way is sort of like a perfect breaking point where you take a break for 10, 15 minutes or 5, 10 minutes. Please do it. It'll help your artwork tremendously. I guarantee it. Please, I'm sure I already know many of you have sent in comments in the comment section, and thank you so much for all your comments. Really appreciate those comments. Everybody, that's very kind of you. You guys give me so many compliments and things, and it's really exciting, and I'm happy about it. Keeps me stoked to keep going and painting and drawing here on YouTube for you. So, yeah, that's the thing. Take the breaks. You have to. You just got to do it. You know, unless you are just, you tend to just really work great, and you can keep working on through, and you don't need a break. That's fine too. Some people don't need breaks. I realize that. Me, I need breaks. That's for sure. So I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. Okay, here we go, everybody. We took our break. We relaxed. I relaxed. Did you relax? Did you relax? Did you get a cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of, drink of water, a nice soda? Do that. Take your breaks, and then have a seat. If you stand while you work, you can grab a seat for 5 minutes or so. If you work while you're sitting, you might stand up and do a little stretching. Fine. All right, so let's get started now. We're going to do our ink and wash, and basically we'll start off with the ink. I'm going to dip my bamboo pen into the ink, and again, I didn't put much in this, maybe 1/4 of an inch of ink. Can you see that? You don't want to flood this too much with too much ink. You want to just have a little bit at the bottom. And another thing I always, please, if you're going to work with ink, if you do spill it, you have to make sure you have on your carpeting some old sheets. So get yourself some old bed sheets or old towels and set them up on your chair if you have good furniture, or on your floor, because if I've done this myself a number of times where I dropped my ink well and it spilled and it went onto the floor. Thankfully, I'm in my studio. I have old carpeting on top of my good carpeting, so that if anything does spill, there's no problem. But I know some of you might work in your kitchen or in your living room or in your bedroom. Some of you have setups where you're doing your work where you have really nice furniture and nice carpeting and things like that. So please, when you do ink and wash, this can really be a problem, because if you get ink on the floor or something like that, or on your furniture, it can be really a big problem. So always remember, if you're working with ink and wash, cover your furniture, your chair, your floor underneath you, just in your general vicinity where you work, whatever it is. If you're in a chair and a table, you want to just have it covered. Maybe one bed sheet is fine on the floor, and then you work on on top of that. Okay, so now we know the sunlight is coming from this way here, so our shadows are going to be on the underside of the eaves of this gable end of this wall here. There's have fun with this, get some, you can see here I'm just kind of using the I'm just using the pencil marks as my gauge to where I've got to be. And I'm also thinking about, okay, I'm not going to do everything with ink. I'm going to do the areas that are in shadow, and especially dark shadow. Like this over here is in dark shadow. So, and you can use dark paint over the top of your ink, so you don't have to do everything completely 100% solid ink. You can use maybe your ink to accentuate the subject matter. So here, this is some siding, some vertical, like barn style siding here. So I'll make those marks with my dark black ink. And this way I can go over with a dark wash here, maybe like a dark brown or dark blue, dark red, make some interesting warm and cool colors there. But as long as I got some of those really strong darks, then I'm really setting myself up for success here. Because this is what really makes it beautiful, is the darks. You can get these really beautiful darks in here. Your painting's going to look so great. Okay, so we got this is pretty dark over here too, the shadows. Please use my painting as your guide. Or if you can find something that looks similar to this, you can use that. You can find pictures that might have buildings or, shacks and houses and whatever. You can use maybe, anything you want for your subject matter. I suggest just use mine to start with, and then eventually you can branch off and do your own designs and figure out other ideas. But for now, try to use mine. Okay, so I'm just doing the darkest darks. And this is a shack door over here on this. Another window there. Have fun with this. This is a cool, we're by the sea. We can hear the ocean, the seagulls. We're having a good time along the shore. We're watching the fishermen. They're coming in with their fishing boats, and they're doing their fishing businesses here. They're bringing in the fish. Working hard all day at the sea and then coming back in. Okay, and then I'll make some horizontal. Sometimes you're not going to load too much ink onto your pen. You can also, if you want, you can also leave a tissue or a paper towel on top of your working area like this, and then if you feel like you have too much ink on your pen, you can take a little bit off and then go in. If you're afraid you might put too much ink on there, take a little off and then do your okay, now I'm going to go in and do some of these verticals. These are the pilings. And I'm not going to get too worried about things where I'm getting fussy. I'm just trying to get these in quick. Okay, that's a boat there. There's another boat over here. Maybe we'll make the mast of the boat over here. Like that. There we go. Then you have some horizontals where the docks are, the wood docks. Doesn't have to again be perfect, just get some horizontal lines in there. You can see that I'm not getting too fussy here, right? I'm just getting some horizontal lines in there. But the majority of the lines are the verticals here. Be careful when not to touch your hand on top of the ink you just did over here. So be very mindful of that. Try not to rest your hand into the paint. And you're having a great time. Are you not having a great time doing this? Oh, this is so much fun. You get that pencil sketch done right, and then it's all free, you know, freewheeling. You're just having a great time. You're just going over your pencil sketch with your ink. Here and there, not everything. You're skipping spots. You're not doing everything right. You're doing some barnwood here. Do some loose stuff, you know. Don't be afraid to get a little loose with some stuff here and not just do everything perfect, you know. Like that. Okay. That looks good. Okay, that's the boat over here. Okay, let's go over here. We're going to get in these really nice rocks that kind of weights things down over here. You kind of have a feeling of weightiness over here. Put some dark ink and, you know, put some ink on there. Some ink. Dark black ink looks great. A little bit of some rocks there. Okay, maybe there's some shadowing. So you do some shadowing here under here with your... This is another thing you can do really fast and fun and free. Get your ink thing here and then just have a blast. Just get some of those shadows of these. Do some, like, I'm working quick, right? You can see I'm not messing around too much. A little bit of squiggly lines underneath these pilings, and this is a longer for the boat mast, right? Always a good thing to leave a little bit of space. So I just want to mention here, as you're doing your shadows, if you have, let's say you have these here, these pilings, leave a little space in between and then do your little bit of squiggly line like that. That looks much better. So you leave a little space sometimes, not every time, but try to leave a little space under there. And then just follow the... And then this here is going to be... You're going to have these reflections too. The door there, the window up here, might get a little bit looser up here, so you kind of do that. Do some shadows of the building. Okay, we really have a great start to things here with our ink. Okay, these are larger. So I'm taking my ink and making some larger. This one here, maybe we'll go right down to the bottom. That. Okay, a couple of these here. And we do a couple weeds and things here. Okay, and I'm just going to keep working the ink here a little bit, just some shoreline areas over here, a little bit of darks, some ink there, like that. Same here, there's some darks here. Okay. Okay, just a couple of lines across here. Good. Okay, well, let's take another break. Before we do, I'm just going to do a little reflection here. A couple over here. One there. A little bit of reflection there. All right, we're going to get back started in just a minute. Let's take a quick break. We did our ink now. You can see we got our ink wash over the top of our light pencil sketch. And then once we complete this, and this took us, 10-15 minutes, let's take a break. Then we'll come back for our last bit of wash here, which will do a light color of watercolor paint. So we're going to do a light wash of watercolor over this, and we're not going to get too fussy on it. We're just going to try to do it in one wash. We'll wet the paper a little bit. Now the key to this is definitely a point in time where you really need to take a break, because you have to let this ink dry like 100%. You can see there's some ink that's wet here. You probably can see that on camera. Can you see that? There is a couple spots where I put the ink on a little heavy, and those areas are still a little wet, a little puddly. Those have to be 100% complete. So before you put any washes over the top of this, you have to let this dry 100%. So that might mean letting it dry overnight, or if you have a blow dryer, you can use a blow dryer and make sure you really blow dry it well so that there's no ink wet spots. Because if you have an ink wet spot, it'll really ruin the painting, because it'll just get out of control and the ink will just leak and flow everywhere and ruin the watercolor washes. So you don't want to ruin your watercolor washes, and you worked so hard to get this pencil sketch down, and now you've worked tremendously hard. We've worked hard here, right? We've got the pencil sketch down, we took our time, we laid everything out, we got the design down. Now we're working on the ink. We got the ink beautiful. We just went over the top of the pencil sketch, which was easy. We just used our ink on top of our pencil sketch to basically get our darks in there, right, with our dark shadows. So now we don't want to have a situation where we ruin the whole painting because we're not patient enough to say we got to let this portion dry 100%. So remember, once you're done with your ink, this must dry 100% completely. Whether you got to wait for it for 2 or 3 hours, or if you use a blow dryer, that's fine too. I'm going to use a blow dryer actually to dry this off now, but it's got to be 100% complete dry, and then you can go over it with any colors you want with your watercolors, and it'll look beautiful and you'll have no problems. So that's the key here, is making sure this dries, this ink dries 100%. So please, please, please let your ink dry 100% before you go back in and start doing your washes. Okay? All right. Enough said. Again, please, if I always say, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Right there on the right hand side of the screen, there's that subscribe button. I want you to have these videos so you can watch these every week. Learn the techniques, the methods of watercolor, have success at them. The more you watch these videos, the more you're going to learn. You're going to remember it. If you watch this video 2 or 3 times over, you're obviously going to learn it really well. And if you're practicing along with it, then you're really going to lock it in and you'll have this method down really well. So if you can try this 2 or 3 times, you'll have the kind of feel for this method, how it works. Pencil sketch first, ink second, third wash is the watercolor over top. And we'll go over that next. So we'll be right back and we'll get started with our watercolor wash over the top. Okay, welcome back everybody. Thanks for coming by again. You're sticking with us here. We're getting to the final stages of this painting. I'm going to go over just the colors I'm going to use here with my watercolor washes. I'm really glad you're going to stick here and finish this up with us. You're really going to find this is the most rewarding part of the painting, really, in this composition and this artwork we're doing here, because this really, the darks and the lights are really so powerful in this ink and wash that, it really, you could do even just one building here and a couple of pilings and make it more of a simple. So if you're just starting out, maybe you're just a beginner, you could take the same design idea, but just keep it more simple. See, I did a number of buildings here. I did a kind of a more, detailed structure with multiple buildings connected and things like that. But you don't have to always do something like that. You could do something more simple. Just one building is fine. You can draw this in just 2 dimensions. So you could draw a building just in 2 dimensions like so. Just one rectangular wall with a roof like so. Maybe a chimney on there and a window and a door or something like that. And get the same effect. And then you do all the rest. You do all your pilings, and so you can do more of a simplified version of this. So if you feel like you're not really too excited about trying something more intricate like this, doing like 3-dimensional drawings of buildings, that's fine. This took me long years to work with these angles and get the feel for that and get that done. So if you're just starting out and you're just painting like a couple weeks or a month or 2, no worries, you can simplify it. Don't stress out about it. Get yourself a really nice simple 2-dimensional painting with just one wall and a roof on there and a chimney and a window and a door or a couple windows, whatever, and you're in business. You're doing well. So I'm going to go over the colors here. Let me just go over my colors quick. I'm going to use basically really the predominant color is going to be Viridian green, or what I would consider a cool green, which is kind of like a turquoise green. So you could consider this like a turquoise green / turquoise green. Turquoise, you could consider that. And then just, like a gold color, I'm going to use raw sienna out of this palette. And maybe some cadmium red too. Get a little bit of that really warm red, cad red. And then maybe some neutral tint or some sepia. Neutral tint, sepia. You could also use some ivory black, Payne's gray, and burnt umber. So this is if you're using a more like a palette like this. This is my everyday palette that I use all the time. I have numerous videos if you click on Chris Petri palette. So if you just type in my name, Chris Petri, and then you type in the word palette, P-A-L-E-T-T-E, into YouTube, you'll see I have about 10 videos on palettes, my palettes, how I use my palettes, different palettes I use, colors, all that. So you'll be able to see all the colors I use and the names of all the colors. But if you just want to keep it simple, you can just use like a turquoise color, kind of a goldish color, a red, and then kind of like you can get a blackish brown color you can mix with your black and your brown. You get like a brownish black grayish mix. You can have fun with this. Don't get too over really worried about your colors, but that's basically the colors I'm using. And you'll see here in the palette, I'll describe how I'm mixing everything. So the main thing is, when you're starting out, when you're doing the washes, I'm going to use a lot of fresh, clean water. So I have a clean container. I wash my container, scrub it out, get the old paint out of there. Brand new, fresh, clean water. And what I'll do is, I'm going to use a mop brush here. So I have a Alvaro Castanet number 2 mop brush. These are great. They hold lots of water. So when I go to put my washes on, I'm going to have plenty of water to really flood the paper with lots of water. We're going to want to really just make this paper flooded with beautiful color and water and washes. So now what I'm going to do is take this, put this over here to my right hand side. Then I'm going to find myself either a tissue or a sponge or a paper towel. So I'll use a tissue. You can use a sponge. What you do is you flood your brush with water, tap a little bit off so that you don't have too much on there, and let's get some water in the sky like this. Fresh, clean water, that's it. No color right now. Fresh, clean water. Not everywhere, but put some really good water on the sky, and then put some water in some fresh, clean water in the water areas here, the bay. So you want to put some watercolor washes in the bay too, but not everywhere. I'm kind of putting it like up here, the fresh, clean water up here, so that I have lots of wet paper up here. Then I'm putting it down here in the water, and I'm kind of making it like an upside down arrow, or an upside down pyramid or triangle. And then I'll put some over here too. And the thing is here, you're just going to have lots of fun with this. Don't worry about it. Do a number of these paintings and have fun with them, and don't stress. And then I'll put some on top of here too, just on top of the buildings a little bit. Just like that. Lots of water though. Okay, now Viridian green. That's going to be my main color that I'm going to try to really make the star of the painting for colors. Then some raw umber here. That's going to be more of a greenish, warm green, like that. Some raw umber, raw sienna. But that Viridian is going to be important. Let's get a lot of that there, in Viridian. And if you find you lose control of your color, for some reason you've added something that was not the correct color, take some paper towel and just wipe it up. If you mix the wrong color, quick, wipe that up fast and start again and say, okay, I needed to keep that pure Viridian like that. And by accident I added some sap green to it. I didn't want to do that, so leave it like that. I did it again. Sap green up there. Okay. Let's go. Here we go. There we go. I'm getting that Viridian green in there. And I'm just putting it on. Look at that. Just get it in there. Now, raw umber and raw sienna. Just a little bit of that, not too much. Okay. Okay. We're not going to add a ton of color to this. We're just going to get the colors that we said we were going to use in here, but we're not going to worry too much. Maybe a little bit of cerulean blue up here. Just up at the top a little bit. Then you can blot up some paint too. Grab a tissue, blot up some paint. There we go. A little bit of that cerulean blue down here. Then we're going to go on top of this with, let's clean up the palette just a little bit more. I'm going to try to burn umber. A little bit of Payne's Gray and burnt umber. Okay. A little bit of some grayish colors. Not too much. Then, again, if you have to keep your palette clean so that you don't mix too much colors. Now we're going to do our burnt sienna, and let's call it cadmium red. Cadmium red and raw sienna. So you have some of that warm color there. Then we're going to put some sepia tone darks. You can always touch up a little bit with some paper towel. You take a paper towel, you fold it up like so into a square. If you have some colors that are losing control and they're flowing out beyond where you want it, that's all you have to do. Take your paper, fold it up, get another clean section, fold it up again, make a nice little square point like so. Then you might go over here and say, okay, that roof should not be dark. You lift it up. Okay, you need more cleanup areas, no problem. Fold it up again. This area you want to keep like that. And that's all you have to do. So you can add lots of paint, lots of water, and you can correct things as you go. And we're going to actually do this in a couple of washes, because I can see now that even though this looks great, we'll probably need to go in and do a little more, maybe some more touch-ups. So I'm just trying to do some splashing a little bit here and there. And again, if you take a tissue, again, tissues are great. Paper towels work great to get up some really, really heavy washes and heavy water. If you want to just do a light bit of lifting, you use a tissue. You just open up your tissue like so. And, you know, you do some light lifting like so. Just very, very light, so you don't lift up too much water. I'm just drying up the puddles at the bottom of the painting right now, like that. But you can kind of see. And if this shadow or this reflection follows somewhat close to what we have above, it's going to look pretty convincing, pretty good. Like so. Couple of light passes across the paper, just like that. Sepia tone, burnt umber, maybe a little bit of viridian. If we use the same colors that we used above here, it's going to look much better. I wouldn't introduce too many new colors. Once you start with about 5 or 6 colors, I would stick with those. Looks better, I think. So there we go. We just have a little more. And we're going to do a little more. Okay, and if you have a couple of splashes, I like splashes, so I'm just going to leave them in there. I like the way they look. Okay. All right, let's take another break. Let this dry a little bit. Okay, that looks really good. And we're going to do just a couple more touch-ups, a few more wisps of grass. We'll do some weeds, some grass. We might do some colors here to these boats, I'm not sure. But again, let's leave this, less is more, less is more. We've always heard that. Everyone, have you heard that before? Less is more. I know all of you artists that have been out there a while, I know you know that term, less is more. That means not overfinishing a painting. Those of you that are beginners, well, you know, maybe you haven't heard that term, less is more. You probably did. But anyway, hey, always remember, you can always come back like a couple days later or a week or two later and add a few things. But once you put it in, you really can't take it out. It's a very difficult process to try to remove different things you might add into your painting once you've added it in. So remember, always try to underfinish your paintings just a little bit, and you can always go in and add a few things later. But I do want to add a few more things, so let's take a break. I'll blow dry this one more time, you know, for about, I'll probably take a 10-minute break, then I'll blow dry this completely before we come back in and do our finishing details to this. But I think this is like 95% complete. So let's come right back in about maybe a few minutes, and then we'll finish it up. All right, everyone, we are back again. Hey, I always want to mention we're getting to the final details of the painting, and I always mention throughout my video, please subscribe to my video channel here on YouTube. It's right here on the right-hand side down below. I always encourage everyone to please subscribe. This way you'll always get my videos each week. And this way you can always follow along. You're learning all your techniques in watercolor. We're doing, you know, seascapes, landscapes, cityscapes. We're doing boats, flowers, still life. We're doing portraits, figures. We do everything watercolor here. So don't feel like you're not going to be happy if you don't see some subject matter that you like. We're going to cover it eventually, whether it's, and you can even go back into my archives. I have over 200 videos on my YouTube channel that you can always go back and look at, and you can just type in whatever your favorite subject is. Chris Petri figures. You type that into YouTube, you'll find that I have probably, you know, 10, 20, 30 videos on figures. Type in Chris Petri boat paintings. You'll see that I have, you know, 20 or 30 boat paintings. So whatever style, subject matter you like, I cover that. But the thing is, I cover all the same methods and techniques constantly. So you'll always be learning those. And those are the things you have to have as a watercolor artist. So when you're painting in watercolor, you just need those basic methods and procedures, processes, and techniques, kind of like locked into your mind and locked into your technique, so that when you're painting, it's not a thing where you're struggling. When you go into a painting, you're already familiar with it. So you've heard me talk about how to do the glazing technique 20, 30, 40 times because you've watched all my videos. So the more you watch my videos, you're going to really learn the terminology, learn the techniques and the methods that I use, and over time it's going to pay off big time for you as a watercolor artist, because you're going to be familiar with all of the tools in the toolbox, like, let's say, that are going to help you to create beautiful paintings. So I want you to have that, so that whenever you're picking up some, pencils, paper, your watercolor paints, and your brushes, you're going to have all those things readily available to you, so that whatever you're going to paint, you're going to feel comfortable. You're going to know how to tackle whatever you're doing in watercolor. So that's what I want you to do. Keep following my channel, and that's why I always say please subscribe, because this way you'll, at least if you're watching my videos, you might not paint every single painting I create on YouTube, but if you're at least watching the videos and following along, hearing the terms, hearing the colors over and over, you'll get familiar with all of the things that are going to really take your watercolor to the next level. So I want you to have that. So let's finish up here this painting. I'm going to actually switch over now to a needlepoint brush. So we're just going to do some final details with our needlepoint brush. I'm going to get some of that. We've already used this before in the painting quite a bit. This is the sepia tone. It's like a neutral tint. That's a dark, a very, very dark. Almost a black, but not quite a black. It's a little bit like a brownish black, a little bit of red in there. So let's do that. Let's load up our needlepoint brush, and we're just going to do some wisps of weeds and grass over here, just to make this look a little more interesting. You could also add in a little bit of green, maybe some sap green. Make that a little greenish color, just to give it a little more. And then you have a couple that go straight up, and then most of them are going to kind of spin this way to the right. And a couple straight up like so. Like that. I think that's plenty good. Maybe a couple just little spots of weeds. Maybe some burnt umber in there. Some raw umber. Maybe a little bit of cadmium red. Maybe some warmish colors here, just a little bit of, and you can see I'm just scrubbing around a little bit. Like so. Then I might add a little more water, like that. We use some Viridian green too. Let's do some of that. We used a lot of that up top in the painting. Let's continue to repeat our colors. I just wanted to get this kind of a darker base at the bottom of the painting. Like so. And I'm just a little bit freer with my paintbrush here. I'm just going to add a little bit of dry brush across this here, just a little bit here and there. Also, I wanted to add a little more. I just wanted to add some, so I'm scrubbing on a few lines on the roof up here. Nothing too fancy. I'm not, you can notice I'm not taking a lot of time on this. I'm just doing a few, putting a few lines on here for the roof. Like that. There needs to be a little more darks over here. I add a little bit of dark paint there. And then just wash that in a little bit. that there. And again, you don't have to paint in every detail. This is a boat over here. That. And you can have a couple of mystery lines here and there. And then over here, a little bit of Viridian. So Viridian, and then a little bit of the sepia. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of that distant shore, maybe a little bit of the red in there too. Okay, I just wanted to add in a little bit of that distant shore there. And I think that's it. So everyone, I hope you'll try this, have a lot of fun at it. I'll peel off the tape here just so we can kind of see it a little bit isolated. And again, you'll see this at the beginning of the video. But I want everyone to have a great time with this, have fun with this. It's ink and wash. You get those really powerful darks in. And then once you have those in, then you're just really having fun, and you can be more freer, and you can do a much more, like this is more of a loose painting when it comes to the watercolor washes. You're just kind of going over the powerful darks in your painting with some very light washes. So what's carrying the painting and making the painting look fantastic is those dark ink and the ink. The ink drawing is really making this a very powerful composition. Then when you add in a very light wash over the top of this with the different colors, and you can use any colors that you want in any configuration you want or color scheme that you want. You can try different ones. You can use this painting and try this is more of maybe like a cooler with the greens and the blues with some of the more or less it's more of a cooler painting, I would say, with the Viridian green and the blues in the sky, and then some of the warm tones, with the buildings, with the boathouses and things. But you could change it around and make it something different, a different color scheme that that you might like, that you want to try some different colors and create something, a different feel, a different mood, maybe more of a warmer, maybe it's more gold and yellows and reds, more of a sunset-y type feel. This might be more of a, middle of the day type feel, something like that. So it's up to you. Create whatever you want, enjoy it, and just use the fundamentals of what we do. A simple pencil sketch over the top with your ink, with your bamboo pen. There's different bamboo pens out there. I have a really large one like this here I use sometimes. There's some great ones out there. I have a Bill Buckman Zen bamboo pen. This one works really great. I use this often too for larger works. When I'm doing like a 18 by 24 or 24 by 36, I use these larger ones. But for this size painting, this is fine. Just a simple bamboo pen like this. You get those beautiful darks in there with your black ink. We used again the Speedball, super black Speedball ink, India ink. And you can do any style. You can do landscapes with this. You can do boats, figures, cityscapes, whatever painting you want to do. You can just take the black ink, get it on your composition, and then you go over the top with your watercolor washes, and you just have a gorgeous painting. So I hope you'll try this. I hope you'll use this, and maybe for some of you, this will be your main style of how you're going to paint going forward. I don't know. There's so many of you out there. Thank you so much for your encouragement, for your beautiful comments. I look forward to that every week. And Again, if you have questions, always leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them the best I can. And again, have fun with your watercolors most of all. Enjoy, take your time with it, and you'll get better and better all the time as you just work the methods and techniques as we go here on this channel, week by week, month by month, and year by year. So we'll see you on the next video, everyone. Bye-bye for now.